feather means to fly, and the title introduces a story about imagination, family, and the desire to rise above everyday limits. The narrator is a 12-year-old girl who loves comic books and dreams of becoming a superhero. In her mind, flying is more than an exciting power. It gives her a way to see beyond the narrow spaces of her daily life and to imagine a future that feels larger than her neighborhood. As the story unfolds, her private fantasy becomes connected to her parents' hopes, their financial struggles, and the quiet dreams that adults sometimes carry without saying them aloud. This is a story about looking up even when life feels small or difficult. The narrator spends her small allowance on comic books and fills her imagination with superheroes. Her favorite dream is that she can become a flying hero herself. In that dream, she looks different, moves with confidence, and has the power to leave the ground whenever she chooses. The fantasy reveals how strongly she wants freedom, control, and a chance to escape ordinary expectations. At 12, she is beginning to notice changes in her body and in the world around her. The superhero dream gives her a private space where she can feel brave instead of uncertain. Her imagination does not erase reality, but it helps her face reality with curiosity and hope. In her fantasy, the girl climbs to the top of her building and rises into the air. From above, she can see far beyond the few blocks that shape her daily life. The barrio becomes smaller, while the city opens around her with endless possibilities. She imagines looking into homes and understanding the hopes, worries, and private stories of the people below. Flight gives her a new point of view. She's no longer trapped inside one room, one street, or one set of rules. This imagined view is important because it shows how children use creativity to make sense of the world. By looking from above, she begins to understand both her own family and the larger life around them. The girl's real life feels very different from the wide-open sky of her dream. She describes the ordinary details of a small apartment and the awkwardness of growing up. Her bedroom contains furniture chosen for a princess, yet it sits inside a cramped space that does not match the fantasy. She notices her changing body and the limits of the world around her. These details show the distance between what she imagines and what she experiences each day. Still, the story does not treat imagination as childish or useless. Instead, imagination becomes a quiet form of strength. It allows her to hold to truths at once. Life can feel confined, and her mind can still travel far beyond the walls. In the kitchen, the narrator's parents talk softly after her father returns from work. Their conversation happens over café con leche, in a familiar domestic moment that holds much more than everyday routine. The child is expected to leave them alone, but she listens closely because she senses that adults carry worries they do not always explain. Their words reveal the realities of work, money, and life in the barrio. This scene shifts the story from the girl's private fantasy to her parents' world. She begins to see that her family also dreams of something beyond the apartment, even if their dreams sound quieter and more practical than her own. Listening becomes another way of understanding. The father imagines taking the family to Puerto Rico. He pictures a simple but meaningful trip, renting a car, visiting the beach, and returning to a place that holds family memories and cultural connection. For a moment, the idea creates excitement, but the mother begins to think about the cost, and the dream becomes difficult to reach. Their family does not have enough money for such a journey. This is one of the most tender moments in the story because the problem is not a lack of love or desire. The family wants the trip deeply. What stops them is the financial pressure that shapes so many ordinary decisions. The unfulfilled trip becomes another kind of flight, a hope that must remain in the imagination. After the conversation about the trip, the mother becomes quiet and looks through the kitchen window. The narrator notices this small action with unusual care. She sees not only her mother's calm face, but also the disappointment she is trying to keep private. The narrow window becomes a symbol of the limits around the family. There is a world outside, but reaching it is not easy. This moment teaches the narrator that love can include silent sacrifice. Her mother does not complain or blame anyone. Instead, she carries the weight of the situation with patience. The girl's attention to this detail shows her growing maturity. She is learning that people can feel hope and sadness at the same time. The ending of Volar brings together the girl's superhero dream and her family's quiet hopes. Flying is not only about leaving a rooftop or escaping a small room. It represents the desire to see more, become more, and move beyond the limits created by money, space, and expectation. The narrator cannot solve her family's problems, but she can understand them more deeply. Her imagination gives her a language for hope, while her careful listening gives her compassion. The story reminds us that dreams can be powerful, even when they are not immediately possible. They help people hold on to identity, connection, and possibility. Sometimes, to fly means believing that life can become wider than it seems today.